Ladies and gentlemen, please, these questions I'm going to throw out they come from previous year's IEB exams. And more on the what your math teachers would call beautiful mathematical sums. Meaning it's beautiful for the teachers and hell for the kids. So what I would love you to do is please do not run into the question. Take a minute with your mates and plot a route for you to answer the question. Before you attempt it, just plot out, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, then I'm going to do that, and when I'm done, I'm going to get to my answer. So before you actually attempt it, look for the monkey, okay? Look for the monkey and identify the mountains, so that you can get this sum right. So this would be at the back end of the IEB paper of 2 years ago. Okay, I'll switch off the lights. I just want to read through the question. A sports scientist is looking at ways to throw a heavy object further. I know it sounds like physics, it basically is. The diagram below shows two throws and models them on a parabola. The first throw starts at O, it reaches its maximum height at H and lands at M. The second throw starts at O, reaches its maximum point at A, and then lands at N. If the second throw is 2 meters further than the first throw, what are the coordinates of H? Good luck. You've got 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. You're literally going to throw something, and then you're going to analyze it, and then you're going to see, okay, what did I do differently? And then you're going to try and replicate that. That's basically all of research. So when I look at this, ladies and gentlemen, the first throw starts at O and reaches its maximum at H. Now, that is important for me, and I'm going to say this. I always love to do this, that before I carry on, I'm going to analyze the situation. What makes H, let's start, what makes O special? It's the origin, so I've got the set of coordinates, that's important, 0, 0. What makes H special? And why is that special? Because it's halfway where? It's halfway between O and, okay, so that's important, and this is a very important thing. They love to ask this, symmetry. And if you know symmetry, then this sum is actually not that difficult. But if you forget about symmetry, then this sum is close to impossible. So, if I can somehow get M, I can get that X value. Look at my thinking. Now the second throw starts at O again. Okay, that's fantastic. It means I've got a set of coordinates that's common. It reaches its maximum point at A. And again lands at N. So there at A, 4, 2, what makes A special? Two things now. It is the point of intersection between two graphs, but now that's a bit of a difficult one because I don't have any set of coordinates. Other than that, I don't have equations, but it's good to just think about it. What else makes it special? It's a turning point. So it is exactly halfway between there and there. Okay, and please, you don't have to show any fancy calculations. You can just go x of n is 8. This is digging. This is a skill that you've got to teach yourself. But again, your toolbox needs to be full and organized for you to do it. So if I look at the rest, it says now, the second throw is 2 meters further. So that means that one is 6, that one is 3. Okay, I have not even looked at what the question asks. But I've already got about half of the marks already. If you're going to learn to dig well, you are going to score half of your marks without even knowing where you need to go. When it comes to geometry that we're going to do on our last day, if you learn to dig well, you're going to answer 70 to 80% of the questions without knowing where you are actually going. Promise you that. Guarantee all your money back. No, I'm joking. I can't give money back. Okay. What are the coordinates of H? Okay, so now we've done. That just sounds really weird. I've done. Okay, I've digged. That sounds even worse. Okay, I've done. I've gotten all the information that I've got. Now I've got to look at the monkey behind the mountain. Now I've got to ask myself, what am I looking for? The question is H. So I know I've got to get an X and I've got to get a Y value. X value I already have, so in my one mountain I've already solved. But now I've got to kind of just be careful because I haven't written anything down for the examiner. So now I've got to kind of work my way back. For me to get X, I needed the X value of N, and to get this, I needed the X value of N. There's my road I needed to walk. Just backwards. Now to get the Y value, what do I need? Okay, what is Y? Again, now we've got to ask that. What is Y? Y is position. I'm emphasizing that because tomorrow Y could be something different. Depending on the graph tomorrow, Y could be rate of change. Tomorrow, or if you look at physics, Y could be a velocity. Y could be a displacement. Y could be friction. You don't know. You've got to be careful. What is Y? Here it's position. But for me to get Y, I need an equation. Because that's kind of the only way to get it. But for me to get an equation, I've got 3 options. Look how well I know my theory. What are my 3 options, sir? Proper. What is proper? Okay, so I could either work with x-intercepts or turning point or 3 random points. You've got to be careful. Which one is it in this case? X-intercept. So again, look, I eliminate what I don't need. I don't have the turning point. I don't want to work with 3 random points because that's really messy. So to get the equation, I've got to go y equal to a x minus x1, x minus x2. There I've got more mountains in my way, but now at least I know what to do. And this, ladies and gents, is how you solve maths. The only problem is, and I'm saying this very clearly, those of you that's going into anything engineering, anything into, well, you're going to need calculus. I should have brought that book with 1,100 pages. That's your calculus book that you work through in about 2 years' time.
And they can ask you anything in those in that book, in an exam. That's why you've got to learn to eliminate what you don't need. I've got my 1x minus naught. I've got my second x value, that is 6. But let's just quickly get x of n is 8. Let's write that for the examiner. X of n is 6. The x value of h is 3. Already I've got 1, 2, 3 marks out of 6. Really, you've got 3 out of 6 already if you just write down this. Then you get another point for that. Another mark for that. Now how do I get A? An unknown. Substitute. Oh, so that's why they gave it to you as common. 4, 2. So now I've got to substitute a set of coordinates in. So this is 2. A, sorry, not 0 minus 0. 4 minus 0. 4 minus 6. Solve A, that gives you a beautiful 8. So A is going to be negative a quarter. Does that make sense? Why? It's a silly question, matter why. So again, it's an upside down parabola, so my A value has to be negative. Again, your toolbox has to be full to test this. Okay? So therefore, I've got y equal to negative a quarter, x minus naught, x minus 6, and now I'm going to multiply that out, right? No, I'm not. Why do I want to waste time? Can't I just substitute x for 3? Yeah. They're not asking me for the equation, so I can just substitute x for 3 in there. Don't waste time. And please use your calculator. Ladies, do not write down every step. As men are too lazy. I'm saying, ladies, don't write in any extra steps. But boys, I'm not going to talk to you because you're not going to anyway. Boys are too lazy. I'm on it. And then, ladies and gents, you've got your y value 3. So it's positive 9 over 4. Does that make sense? Why? So why does it make sense? Yes? Say again? Okay, 9 over 4 is above 2. If you look on the sketch, your h value must be above 2 because it is higher. Ladies and gents, learn to test your answers. I'm an examiner for the Further Study Maths nationally, and every single year we see a kid going, and when I still mark finances, because I love finances, pay a £1,000,000 house over 20 years, and the kids work out the monthly repayments is 200,000 rand. Exactly. Paying off R1,000,000, and they calculate the monthly payments for 214 months to be 200,000 rand. Does that make sense? No! Because I could pay that house off in 5 months. Doesn't make sense. But I don't take for answers, I just write down answers. Okay, I'm getting passionate. Sorry. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Okay. Next question. Oh, sorry. Do you have a question about this one? Okay, let me first go back. What is your question? Yes, miss. Midpoint formula, what formula is that? Yes. I just do it in my head. Okay. So, her question, ladies and gents, and please to answer, is this to get these x values? No. No. Why not? She's asking, but can't I use? The reason is, if you look at the graph, the reason why you can't just use midpoints is that graph going in a straight line with a gradient of 1? No, that thing is curved. So that thing has a different rate of change everywhere. So unfortunately, we can't use midpoint for the y values. But the x values, you can, but not for y, because y depends on the function. So very good question, I love it, bring it on. And I'll do my best to thumbs up as good as I can. Okay? But my thumbs up really works, and I promise you it's valid in this case. If I can't answer, I promise I'll find an answer. Any other questions about this sum before I move on? Yes, sir?
So will you draw the fine line between
Okay, that's a very valid question. His question is, when do I draw the fine line between just writing down my answer and showing my working out? That's your question, am I right? Okay. The fine line is, this is logic. You can write out more. You can go, like some of you went and said, the x value at n plus 0 divided by 2 is the x value at a. Which is exactly going midpoint. That one plus that one, and then you solve for that. You can do that. That's 100% right. But I wouldn't. Just because for me it's logical. But for some of you guys say, but that's not logic for me, that's fine. Then you show the examiner rather more than less. So that's my thinking. Look, if I can go on my sketch and go, that is 4, so that must also be 4, then I can just write it out. They give you marks for it. Okay? Learn to see where examiners would give marks. Like an examiner would give marks for that, for that, for that. How you get to it, they're not going to care much. How will I give marks here? I'm going towards that formula there. Then most probably there and there. Because it's only 6 marks. But so this question could be 8 or 9 marks. I know. If I had to give marks proper, it would be 9 marks, 8 marks. But then why did I only give you 6 marks for it? Can I tell you why? Because they know only 5 or 10% of the kids in South Africa will get it. So the other 90% is not so disadvantaged. So they only give 6 marks for it. Remember, this is the last 1 or 2 questions in your exam. So, and that's why I love IEB exams, because they put all the difficult stuff at the back. Government puts it all in between. Don't necessarily like. So to give you a very vague answer, so a very, very vague answer is rather write more than less. Okay? Rather over-explain than under-explain. I'm going to use, and it's again someone that I think went to class with our cameraman there, was a guy that was an absolute robot. But he was completely left field with his thinking. And he always got in the low 80s. But no one could understand what the hell he was writing on the paper. Because if I do something in 8 lines, he would do it in 4 lines and be like off by a little bit. But then I had no cooking clue what the hell that guy was writing. Honestly, because he was just... And we worked with him to start saying, but write essays. Literally a paragraph. I was thinking about this. Therefore, I did this. And because of this, I did the following. And then he got, well, what? His marks went up to in the 90s. Because all of a sudden the examiners went, I didn't think about that when I tried it. So ladies and gents, long answer to a short question is rather right more than less. But for the boys, if you are scared of the examiner might not be able to follow my logic, write out for them. You know, A is the midpoint of ON. Therefore, N is this, therefore this, therefore this. Because you don't know who's going to mark your final exam. Okay, let's go to our last question for today. A quadratic function f of x equal to ax squared plus bx plus c has the following properties. Dum dum dum. Draw a rough sketch of f of x, labeling the turning point clearly. I'm going to give you 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Fun and games. Please, no, you're not failing. Remember again, this was one of the last questions in an exam, and I'm choosing to rather, expose you guys to it, so that when you go back home, you realize how much studying is still left before the exams. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's quickly have a look at this. A quadratic function. Okay, great, fantastic. I don't have to think about hyperbolas, exponentials, all of those. Don't have to think about them. I think maybe tomorrow in one of the times we've got, I will also look at a bit of exponential equations as a bit of extra before we go maybe to the. So a quadratic function, so there's a few things about quadratic functions we've got to remember. What must I think of? What must I think of? X-intercepts, Y-intercepts, turning points, form of the graph. So those are the kind of things you need to start thinking about. So let's start with the easy stuff. Okay, I'm going to start with the easy stuff. How is B? And what does B have to do with anything? B just makes me want to cry. Okay, let's analyze the second one. F of negative B over 2. What is negative B over 2a? What is that? What is that? Turning point. Okay, so if I tell you f of negative B over 2a, that tells me turning point. So that gives me the y value of the turning point. So it turns at 2. So somewhere there, it turns. Magically. Okay. Then I get to b squared minus 4ac, and something must pop into your head. Okay, so what I would like you guys to do, and I just had a wonderful time there on my right-hand side with those two ladies. Please turn for me to page. I realize that I need to add some extra stuff on the book. On page 3, it says the nature of the roots. Please underline the word roots and write next to it solutions. Solutions, because that's actually what nature of the roots are all about. Solutions. So if I talk about the nature of the roots, it's the nature of the solutions. So I see b squared minus 4ac, or b squared smaller than 4ac. That kind of tells me nothing. But it kind of rings a bell. It kind of almost sort of looks like b squared minus 4ac really, but not really. Am I right? So can't we manipulate it? Oh yes we can. Oh yes we can. I can just do this. Right? And so what formula is that now all of a sudden? It is the formula for the discriminant. Now, quickly, discriminant only works with better than parabolas, more in depth than parabolas. There's something about parabolas. Quadratic equations. Someone said it, you said it. Ah, there we go. High five, Bluetooth high five. Okay. Quadratic formula, which comes from quadratic equation, which comes from, oh my goodness, you guys need to go and study. Everyone's alright with that? Isn't that where fx is equal to 0? Yes? Isn't that the x-intercept? Yes? Is it not? I love it. Thank you for your honesty. Remember f of x. What is the formula for f of x? Ax squared plus bx plus. If I make y equal to 0, what do I get? Yeah. If I make y equal to 0. Ah. So if I make this 0, I get the x-intercept, right? You with me, sir? Are you now with me? Okay. But now what do we tell me? And quickly look on page 3 in your booklet. If delta is smaller than naught, non-real, so what does it mean? Unequal. Oh, so you are hitting me in the heart here. No real, meaning there is no x-intercept. Okay, if it was delta equal to naught, equal, which means it turns on the x-axis. Okay, so let's quickly do this. On page 3, let's quickly get this. If delta is smaller than naught, if there's my y, my x-axis, it's going to turn above or below. I don't know, depending on the form. Then if delta is equal to naught, it's going to turn on the x-axis because I have equal roots, equal solutions, equal x-intercepts. What if delta is bigger than 0? It's real. Let's get real. Guys, it's got two unequal roots, two unequal solutions, two unequal x-intercepts. Follow the logic. Now, which one of this is this? So it means, sir, from 2, can the graph go up or must it go down? It must go up. Because it will not cut the x-axis. Because delta is smaller than. So from here, it's going to lie above somewhere. Okay, you're with me. Now we get to that first little point, which is actually the easiest of them all. When I first saw this, I was inwardly freaked out for like 5 seconds. And then I started asking myself, why do they give me 6? 6 is kind of an important thing. Okay, so let's put 6 on my graph. It's one of those, let's try. So what do they say? If I add p values, or if I add p to that 6, I know I'm going to get some coordinates, and it must be above because of this little baby. But if I subtract, so this is 6 plus p, that is f of 6 plus p. And if I if I subtract, not 6, if I subtract p from this, I get 6 minus p. Everyone's alright with that, right? But it's going to be the same. Why then? Because this is f of 6 minus p. And the two y values are going to be the same. So what does it mean, sir? Which means that midpoint between them is the axis of? Oh, so that's my x value of the turning point. Which means my graph, and they are drawn in photos. Woo! That was absolutely gorgeous. Yes, sir. Okay, so thank you. I didn't answer the whole monkey. It says draw a rough sketch labeling the turning point. The turning point is 6,2. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am saying this very clearly. This is by far the most difficult rough sketch I have ever come across. And it was 2 years back, the IEB last question, one of the last questions in your exam. But ladies and gents, what I want you to be aware of is, I could not attempt this if my toolbox was disorganized, or even worse, if it was empty. So now the question, and this is the last thing I want to pose for you today. How on earth do I fill up my toolbox? And how do I organize it? That's the question I want to ask you guys. Last question for today. Who can give me a solution? You said something, sir? Practice. Because what if I ask you something that you haven't practiced before? No, you've just practiced. Yes?
You study to fill your keyboards.
But how? I agree you study, but how?
So you look at what is required.
Okay. Waffling, I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me quickly share something with you guys. And this is a very important thing. I propose the following. That you go after this winter school and take every single big concept like parabolas and fill your toolbox by making summaries. I made one summary in this one, for instance, simply about quadratic equations. And I fit basically everything I have about quadratic equations on a summary. Now you can do the same with a parabola. Start in the middle. Start with your definitions and axioms we'll talk about later on. Fill your toolbox by doing summaries. If you look at this beautiful booklet, let me quickly put it up here. I love this. Guys, I'm weird and I love it, okay? I am weird and I love it. Okay, ooh, that's a bit of a pile. You guys can't see the beautiful picture of me there. Okay. Let me show you guys, let me just quickly mirror my screen and show you what I do for fun. Now it's on there. Okay, there we go. If I look at that last few pages in my booklet, it's sad that it printed so small for you guys. Hashtag sorry. Okay. If I look, for instance, at the equations, I know it's written small, so get your glasses on. There's two of them. There's basics of equations, And then there's different types of equations. And if I look at this one, what do I see? If I see brackets, that's what I can do. If I see fractions, put both sides on the LCD. That's a bit unclear there. If I see surds, that's what I do. These kind of summaries can actually be fun to make. Because I don't want you to do it on your own. Get a bunch of mates together one Saturday morning, get pizza, get McD's, get Burger King, okay? Sit together and a group of you take parabolas. What do I know about parabolas? You're going to say something she doesn't know. She's going to say something that he doesn't know. And together, you can take, for instance, a chapter, especially before the exams coming up, and then organize, fill your toolbox, and then organize it. And if you can learn to do that in matric, next year, you might have success when you get to calculus. The reason why, because calculus is a tough bugger. Okay, calculus, if you do pure maths, it's a tough bugger. But you'll have a much better chance of success because the mates that's going to be around you. It's so much information that if you're not used to summarizing and studying maths, you are not going to have success at Varsity.